All right, so welcome back to Cooking with Doc. I apologize for maybe a misleading title, but it's the best Doc pun I could come up with. We're going to make something today that's kind of my own creation. I'm sure I'm not the first person to ever do this, but it's a take on kind of the historical story of something known as garlic noodles. So garlic noodles were made, while I tell the story, I just put a couple pieces of bacon into my pan here. So garlic noodles historically are a dish from San Francisco. It's an Asian American dish, a Chinese American dish. And what the story was is that now I already got a little oil in the pan, I'm going to add the bacon to it. The story was there was this Chinese American woman who had heard about this Italian dish called cacio e pepe, which is essentially just cheese and pepper on top of noodles. And she thought it was pretty flavorless, which I think is crazy because cacio e pepe is delicious. So she made her own version of it, where she added garlic and soy sauce. And it's a San Francisco classic. It's called garlic noodles. I've changed it a little bit, and I've kind of made it into my own version. This is, there we go, which is kind of a take on, instead of her version of garlic noodles, take on cacio e pepe, this is my version, take on carbonara. It's going to have bacon and eggs in it as well. I think it's very tasty, but I encourage you to try it out. So I got bacon going in this pan and some oil. While that's going, I'm going to chop in a carrot. So this is the thing that kind of makes it lo mein-esque. I'm going to chop a carrot. Along with the carrot, we're going to put in some shallots, some garlic. If I had any ginger, I'd include that as well, but I don't. We'll put some onion in there as well. Now, when I make this at home, it's kind of a good leftover deal. So if you have some vegetables which are kind of on their way out, or some stuff you gotta use, you can make something similar to this. So I like it a lot of times with lunch when Mrs. Doc is not home. I'll make something kind of like this based on whatever I have in the fridge. So right now I have some carrots. I have this shallot left over from Christmas Eve that I'll slice. Now a shallot gives you, it's in the onion family, but it gives you a kind of a different taste. I think it's a little sharper, kind of depending on what kind of onions you have. But here we go. I got my bacon going. Okay. And I have my garlic going here as well. In this dish, I actually like sliced garlic. I don't crush it in this dish. So I'll just slice the garlic as well. Now, if you've never made a stir fry before, kind of timing is everything. And I'm sure I'll mess this timing up on this guy. But you don't dump everything in at the same time. You kind of go in waves because things cook. Some things take longer to cook than others. So let me get my bacon out. And I'll chop that, and that'll go back in the finished dish later. Get my bacon out. I'm not really worried about draining the fat because there's nothing healthy about this. Now let's get the carrots in there. The carrots take the longest to cook. So let's get that in there first. You can do this with any kind of leftover greens you have. If you have like some peppers or some Brussels sprouts or anything like that, that all goes pretty well in something like this. So Here's my garlic sliced. And while these carrots cook, we're going to make the sauce. So for the sauce, we're going to do, I don't know, that feels like less than a quarter cup of soy sauce. Add a few dabs of Worcestershire. Gonna add some pepper in there. I'm gonna add just a little water. It'll kind of calm down the saltiness we got going on here. And I'm gonna add some honey. Now what you can also add to this if you like it spicy, and I do, is some crushed red pepper flakes, so I'll add that in there. Which adds kind of adds a heat, but like not a ton of flavor. And then I'm also going to add some sriracha in there, which adds heat and lime and chili, and it's good. So give this a little whisk as this is going. Now in the back here I have some water boiling for my noodles. I have some ramen noodles that I buy, but you can use regular, whatever kind of pasta you want, whatever kind of long pasta you want for this. I'm going to dump this in the water. A few stragglers broke off down here. And that'll cook in no time whatsoever. I'm going to turn the heat up here on my carrots, and I'm going to add my onions. Now, when you cook with onions, normally the minute you add it to the heat, you always add salt to it to pull out the moisture so that it doesn't overly brown. But what we have going on here, there's so much salt kind of in our sauce that we don't really want to do that. We'll over salt the meal. So what we can do instead, and it's really pretty true of all stir fries, all this is cooked pretty quickly, so we don't have to add that salt. And you'll see later we're actually adding even more kind of salty umami goodness to this. So let's let that go for a second. Let me poke my noodles a little bit so they don't overflow. And now we can add the garlic as well. Add the garlic. And give that a little toss. Okay. And we'll let that garlic kind of cook until those noodles are done. Once those noodles are done, we add the sauce to the pan, let it boil, add the noodles to the pan, and besides a few last second toppings, we are done. So like I said, this is good for any kind of leftovers you have. Even if you got some like leftover meat, some like turkey or a roast or something, you can cut it up into very small pieces. When I asked Mrs. Doc if this is what she wants for dinner, I just call it leftover noodles, right? So it's a pretty versatile technique we got going on here. All right. So those are doing pretty good. I'm going to add my sauce. Just let that come to a boil, and I'll add my noodles. Now these ramen noodles cook super fast. If you're using kind of spaghetti or anything like that, it will take longer to cook. So, you know, you're going to plan that out while you're making your lunch, dinner, or whatever. Now, a lot of this water has some starch in it, which is pretty good for what we're trying to do here, because the starch allows the sauce to stick to the noodles. So do a little toss here. Little toss. Get this all coated. Alright, we got a little too much liquid in there, so that could cook down a little bit. So here's where we make it similar to carbonara, in that we're going to add some eggs, and we're going to add the bacon back in. So we toss this, yeah, it's getting nice, and oh, and some cheese as well. So first things first, we're going to add, I have some Pecorino Romano cheese here. We're going to add a decent amount of it. Give that a toss. There we go. I'm going to add 2 eggs. Now I'm just going to put the eggs on top and kind of stir it through. You can whisk them if you'd like beforehand. I don't think it really changes much for the disc. We're adding this for some glossiness and for some protein. Gotta protect your gains, right? So I'm going to stir that through. Lost the carrot there. Okay. Stir that through with the cheese and going through 800 spoons here. Alright, now what we could do is give that a final toss. So we can put that in a serving bowl. And once you serve it, I would eat it immediately. It gets, not that it gets gross when it's cold, it just gets, your textures are a little off. Because you're looking for creaminess and you're looking for salty umami. It's you want this thing kind of piping hot. Now, after that, I would add the bacon on top. Just kind of tear it a bit, tear it apart. And then for an extra little kick, I'm going to add some sriracha. And there you have it, fridge noodles. Hope you cook it. Enjoy.